What's up? Today we're going to dive into what 6 weeks postpartum really looks like and how it's not just the magical green light everybody thinks it is. And honestly, the reason why we probably think that it is capitalism. Let's dive into it, shall we? So y'all already know my name is Amira Mazimoyo. I'm a mama of 5. I'm a postpartum fitness coach. I've helped many, many women get to their best body, mind, and spirit after having babies. And that's really what we're talking about on this channel. I am in this interesting phase. I'm at 7 weeks postpartum. And I'm at the point where I'm starting to see some imbalances come up in my body. And I'm also starting a lot of other things. I'm starting work. I'm starting exercise gently. And so I want to kind of share with y'all what that's looking like. And then also some things that you should be looking out for at 6 weeks postpartum. I find this phase so interesting, and you'll probably hear my baby on my lap, but I find this phase so interesting because it's not about weight loss. And what I've learned with previous babies and with previous clients is it really can't be about weight loss right now. The weight will come off naturally because of what you're doing. So keep that in mind. But if your focus is weight loss right now, I need you to shift that focus. Okay. I need you to shift it because this part is about rebuilding inner strength. We just had so many changes at one time. We just had, full term pregnancy, or, earlier than full term, but we just had pregnancy. We've just had birth. And it's not just a birth of the baby, it's the birth of a new version of yourself as well. And sometimes that's so uncomfortable to settle into, but this is the settling period. And it is a point where it's one of those things that you can't get through it other than to get through it. And so it can feel uncomfortable. For me, it is definitely feeling uncomfortable. And it's stretching me in ways that I just did not expect. And so you may have just had your 6 weeks midwife clearance or OB clearance. And a lot of times they'll tell you, you're good to go back to the gym, to go back to work, to go back to sex, and you should be feeling fine. Everything looks normal. It doesn't mean everything's normal, or doesn't mean everything's fine, or even if everything is, that you should be just going right back to things as normal. You just had this humongous change and you had to do things a little bit differently. There's a mental expectation. There's a societal expectation that you should be back to normal after everything that just happened. And I just want to tell you, as women, we have to normalize that is not always the case. At work, they're going to expect you to behave like none of this ever happened and just get back to work. In the bedroom, everything's expected to work as usual, as normal. Everything's expected to work as normal. And sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not the case. And so I want you to take your shift away from things going back to normal and shift it to things changing in a new and beautiful way, and in a way that may even surprise you, in a way that might be hard at first and get easier later, and in a way that can be easy right now and get harder later. Now, my opinion is that all of that is based on capitalism. Let's be real. The reason why we would want and expect moms to go right back to work is capitalism. So you can make money off of that employee. The reason why we would expect moms to want to lose weight so fast after having a baby is capitalism. Everybody profits when a woman wants to lose weight so badly that she'll do anything. When a woman wants to go back to normal so badly that she'll do anything. This is not about that. Okay, this is not that. And I have to say it because it's so easy to get pulled into it. Like, okay, well, let me go back to normal, my normal size, my normal mindset, my normal motivation, my normal sleep patterns, it's not going to be like that. So if you have never had a baby, or if this is your first baby, I just want to give you that validation and that love and internet virtual hug, because things are going to be different, and figuring out what that new normal is going to look like is sometimes the hardest part. And so just keep walking through it, keep going through it. And the only way to get through it is to grow through it. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do. But the reality check is your organs are still shifting. Your womb is likely still going back to its normal size if it's not your first baby. your core and your pelvic floor are still healing and sometimes can still be tender. If you don't want to, you don't have to. When it comes to exercise, let's talk about exercise. Let's really dive into it because I think that's a big thing. And because I'm a postpartum fitness coach, you may expect one message from me and get another. We'll see. But I want to say six weeks is not always a green light to go when it comes to exercise. I've been 6 weeks postpartum, started exercise, and immediately kind of had a setback when it came to my healing. I started bleeding again, and just didn't feel right. Had to really step back and not start exercise again for about another month. And so you have to be careful. Okay. I want you to be careful, but I also want you to be like informed, because you don't have to start in the way that you might think that you do just to get moving. Another thing is that your organs are still shifting, which means that your muscles are still recovering, your tissues are still recovering. All of those things are still healing. Your core and your pelvic floor at 6 weeks are still healing. And so this is not the time to say, okay, well, I'm going to do some crunches to really get my stomach back in order. I don't want you to do that, baby girl. I do not want you to do that. What I would always suggest at this part, and what I'm doing for myself, is focusing on breath work, focusing on light Pilates. I'm not adding any resistance except for my band. And do I have it over here to show you? No, but I have like a physical therapy band, one of the very light ones, not one of my hip circles that I use for exercising later, one of those light bands. And I use that for my upper body. And I also will put it around my knees to do certain exercises. But trust me, I'm not doing any other resistance. Just because I don't feel up to that. I don't feel like my body can throw some weights around right now. I'm still recovering. The other thing that I'm doing is focusing on just moving. So because my baby is at a point where she is not sleeping well, and sleep really don't live here anymore. Like we had a phase last week where every single night she was up crying pretty much the whole night. This week has been a little bit better, but when they say the 6 week regression, sleep regression happens, 6 week sleep regression really happens. It's like the baby has to learn how to fall asleep again. And most of the time that's going to be contact naps. Most of the time that's going to be the baby, laying on you or being with you to fall asleep. And when you get up, they're waking up. So, going out of the phase where they were sleeping so well, this is crazy. And so, I would encourage you during this time to, if you want to move your body, if you feel better when you do move your body, just move however it occurs to you, however it feels good to do so. And so for me, that's been biking. I have an exercise bike, and I've been doing about 20 minutes on the exercise bike. Sometimes I do it to a workout video that I have, and sometimes I literally will just ride with music on just to move my body, because I have 20 minutes before I need to pick the baby back up. Okay. And then sometimes I'm on the floor doing some floor work where I'm working on my breathing. I'm working on expanding my lungs when I breathe, and contracting my core when I exhale. And I have a YouTube Shorts video on this, so I'll definitely make sure that I link it and that I tag the video so you can see, what breathing I was doing in that video that really helps with diastasis recti or with core strength. And also, this is a point where at 6 weeks, your hormones are recalibrating. So let's talk about hormones. The hormones right now are interesting because I was feeling pretty balanced hormonally after I had the baby, but you can feel pretty normal right after and then start to experience some hormonal imbalance a little bit later. And I think that I am because I suspect that my period came back. And while I'm still exclusively breastfeeding, I'm not just pumping. I mean, nothing has changed there. I had this with my daughter. And this is what I have for the entire year. And so I'm like, okay, let me get on it now to start focusing on getting where I thought that I was imbalanced hormonally and that it was just coming down gradually. I may need to do something a little bit more to start working on getting those hormones balanced so I don't have the same experience. And so I've been working with my midwife on that. And I'm going to share with y'all what I end up doing, what blend I end up putting together. But some of the herbs that you can do, of course, is red raspberry. Talk to your doctor, talk to your midwife. I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving you what worked for me and what I'll be incorporating, which will involve, and it's going to have some other herbs too, from what I'm expecting. But usually I will do maca, which is a Peruvian herb. And it really helps with your physical stamina, hormonal balance. It's an adaptogen. And I also do, of course, red raspberry. And red raspberry is just awesome for women's health. So it will help my body to balance the hormones, and to keep them balanced. Is very gentle. You can take it every day. And then the other thing that I also am planning to use is nettle and oat straw. And those two things are breastfeeding friendly, and they also help with having the right minerals that your body needs to produce the right hormones. And so nettle and oat straw, they're very good for like calcium, iron, and just all of the minute minerals that your body needs to really stay balanced. So I'm going to be incorporating those as well on a daily basis. Because hormones aren't quite normal, and you may be showing signs of hormonal imbalance once you get to 6 weeks, consider that we have to normalize feeling low energy again after our energy levels have picked up already. We have to consider feeling more emotional sensitivity and moodiness. I'm always like, and we also have to normalize like feeling okay one day and the next day feeling like an emotional wreck. And so that happens too. And so herbs, of course, help. Eating the right things help. But this is just a gentle reminder that it is going to be somewhat of a roller coaster as you go through this process. And for me, it has already been. And I would expect a few more months of this roller coaster. So I'm going to be doing everything to support my body through this period. And I'll be sharing that too, because I know that it's not easy. So we're gonna get through this together. So lack of sleep in us as the mamas, of course, it's not fun to experience, but it also does affect us in a few more ways. It affects our motivation. So if you had the motivation before and you were feeling really good, you hit that 6 weeks and not getting enough sleep, it's hard to keep the motivation. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I notice is weight retention. And so when I'm sleeping less, I notice that my weight's going up, and I'm also more hungry, and usually sugar cravings. Okay. And that can happen because a brain that is not getting the quality sleep that it needs will start to crave sugar because it is an easy energy source. And so some ways to counteract that I found are using slow burn energy sources, and I do in a few different ways. So slow burn energy sources are like sweet potato, quinoa, brown rice, things like that, chickpea pasta. And even when I do the regular ones, I make sure that I'm prioritizing protein. I make sure that I'm prioritizing it. I'm prioritizing healthy fats. So I'm having nuts as a snack, or, apple and nut butter. I'm doing, different things that are helping all of my blood sugar to be processed more slowly in the body. So when I'm eating an apple, I'm gonna have it with some peanut butter. All of those things that keep the blood sugar more even throughout the day help with the cravings. So, and they also help with cortisol too, because if your insulin is always spiked because you're always eating sugar or things that create sugar in the body, you're gonna have higher stress hormones as well. So it's all a circle, and it's very hard. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm eating chocolate chip cookies too. Okay. I just found the best recipe ever, and I've been making those. So it's not that I'm not having any sugar. It's just that I'm being a lot more focused on, if I have cookies, I'm not going to have 7 cookies. I'm going to have 2 cookies and some tea. I'm going to have, if I'm going to have rice, I'm going to have that with maybe a peanut stew or something like that, where I'm prioritizing protein and fat, and I'll have less rice. I'm still having carbs. I'm not cutting anything out of my diet right now. Okay. This is a channel about balance. Okay. And I say that because sometimes we want to jump into the extreme so we can see extreme results. And at this point, you don't want to see extreme results. Pushing things to the extreme can lead to no results right now. So I'm just giving my body what it needs and prioritizing the things that it needs the most. And so that's what's going on. If you're feeling unmotivated, it is not laziness. It is biology. I want to kind of reframe this because clearance does not equal readiness. So even if your doctor clears you, like I said, it does not mean that you are ready. And I do have a resource in the description box. It is a postpartum. And I do have a resource for this. It's a postpartum readiness checklist. And you can get that in the description box. It is a PDF. It's actually 2 PDFs. I have one, which is an assessment workbook, and the other one is just like a checklist, literally, where you can check off all of those things to see if you are ready for exercise, gentle exercise, or if you're not. Okay, so that's going to give you a definite answer. So some gentle movements that you can start with, and that I like to start with for my clients, for myself. Walking. Progressive walking is going to be number 1. And the reason why I say that is because you can start off just walking at a very slow pace. You can do it inside or outside. There are walking workouts that you can do on YouTube where you just pull them up and you are literally doing 3,000 steps, 1,000 steps, whatever you choose your goal to be. But I would suggest walking first. Okay. Always start that, because if you can endure the walking, then you can start progressing into other exercises. That lets me know that you're ready to progress to other exercises. The next thing is, and this is really should be the first thing, is breath and core connection. And I say that because the way that we breathe during pregnancy is not the way that we should be breathing once the baby's here. Although often we're breathing the same way. And so we want to focus on the right type of breathing. And I have a video on this, but I'm going to make another one so I can show you what I'm doing now. And also connecting with your core, because sometimes after our core has just stretched as much as it did, it can be hard to connect to it. Some women say, I can't even feel my muscles when you ask me to do this assessment. And so sometimes if they're here in the city, I'll do it for them, or I'll walk them through it so they can see, how to feel their muscles. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard connecting with your core afterwards. And so you want to make sure that you're connecting with it, because if you start exercising but can't connect with your core, you could literally create more of a disconnect by doing that. So don't do that. And so what I noticed was that I do have somewhat of a gap above and below my navel. And it's not much. It's like a little bit more than 2 fingers together. So about like that. And that may not even be considered diastasis recti. But this is not a finish line. This is the process, and this is the transition point. And so I just want to gently support my body in every way that I can so that I get the best outcome in the long run, because this is just the start. This is right at the beginning. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. All of the things that we can do to just support our body through this phase, that's the point. Not a quick snapback. It's not an overnight miracle. It's not some castor oil pack that's going to just fix everything. I literally just have to get through it. Just have to go through it, grow through it. And so it's the beginning of the rebuilding. Everything that we had to go through pregnancy, through this part, it's all building up for your best body yet. And I'm so excited. So excited for all of us. I'm excited. And so if you're around 6 weeks postpartum, chime in, tap in. I would love to hear how you're feeling and what you're doing to recover. If you're feeling amazing, if you're going through some things, chime in. Okay, you're not alone, and I love that feeling and that knowing that I'm not alone going through this too. And I want you to check the description box below, because I have some guides down there and some resources. I have that video that you can watch to check your abdominals for any separation, and also the link to the assessment guide so you can see where you're starting. Once you know where you're starting, you know what you need to do to support your body through this. So let's get through this, and I will see you in my next video. Make sure that you subscribe, share this with another mama, and we're on this journey together. So I'm looking forward to where we go. Peace.